Welcome to Unlabelled and Limitless. I'm Lois here today with Ian and Kay, and we are going to be talking about ARFID. As we approach the holiday season, we're going to dive into a topic that can be really stressful for a lot of families. ARFID isn't just picky eating, it's a serious condition where individuals have a very limited range of foods due to sensory reasons or fear of eating. This can make holiday gatherings a challenge. You're trying to navigate social situations and ensure your child feels comfortable and included. As we explore what ARFID is, we're going to talk about how it impacts families and share some practical strategies to help make the holidays a little bit smoother for everybody involved. Whether you're a parent dealing with ARFID or just curious about the topic, stick around. We hope to provide some insightful. Ian and I are neurodiverse. Ian is autistic. I have ADHD, and Kay's daughter is diagnosed with ASD, and therefore Kay has a lot of insight into that kind of line between picky eating and avoidant eating. And as adults, Ian and I have some stories that we can share. I particularly, as a parent, what do you notice around the holidays, especially because food seems to be a big thing for a lot of families around the world?
Thank you for the introduction, Lois. My name is Kay. I have an 11-year-old daughter. She was diagnosed with ASD when she was just 3 years old. I noticed that around the holidays, she would be very picky. When it started to happen every year, and she would only stick to just one unhealthy choice, it became something of, something to look forward, but not really. What can I do as a parent to prevent this, or at least make sure she gets nutrients? It's about sensory processing. There's an overload of things that she has to decide on during the holidays, because I'm from the Philippines and the holidays are festive.
In the Philippines, it's very focused on.
Filipinos can hear this, they would attest that holidays doesn't really start December. It starts when the Burr months hit, like September, as early as September. This impacts children, and for someone autistic, there's a change in routine, and changing your diet without having the option to decide for yourself is very difficult. I didn't know what impact that has on the child until Zoe decided on sticking to one food.
So, and there's some really, really good points that you bring up there, and I think we should dissect those like piece by piece. But before we do, I have one more question. Are these food restrictions, does she experience this any other time of year?
Starts during the holidays. Like a regular month, she would eat anything.
And what with 4 months?
There was one time, this is a vivid memory, where she would only eat the the black part of an Oreo, not the filling, just the sandwich. You get one, like the biscuit part. That's
The
the only
biscuit,
thing
not
she
the
would take,
filling. Yeah.
and not the filling. And there was all artificial flavoring of roasted chicken. It's unhealthy, but that's the only thing she'll eat.
That I was gonna turn to Ian, and I think it's important to explain what it is. Does this sound familiar to your experience with food in the holiday times? You'll become more restrictive or more particular, or is it just an all the time thing for you? And what's coming up for you?
Impacts you more than me. That's true. On a previous podcast, I've mentioned if I've had a stressful day, I'm not hungry and I won't eat. That's actually one of the symptoms from an autistic perspective. So things such as, anxiety, that creates overstimulation, understimulation. Back to Kay's point with sensory. If I look at experiences, the more you're concerned because something is building up, there's going to be a lot of people, celebrations, noise, all of that takes over from the basic needs, the feeling hungry. For me, if I'm in a situation like that, I think that's where the safe foods kinds of comes in, where I know that, I can have something I can just grab. I know, and I'm not having to decide, it's automatic. 3 months, 6 months later, it might be a different. That sensory side does pick up a lot and interfere. For me, it's the exhaustion. Your brain is kind of a battery. If you imagine your phone running low on charge, you plug it in, but you've got so much work to do. So you're just plugging it in to get some percentage and you're taking that away and doing what you need, then plug it back in. That's what it's like, for example, with eating. You're doing just enough to get through that moment. You never get to that point where you're feeling hungry. You're just doing it for the sake of survival. Just going back to survival instincts.
And I think that as a point gone through really big. I take medications. One of the side effects is you forget to eat. What they don't tell you is when it wears off in the I've always picked at food, always like pulled it apart. Like if something's bruised, if a fruit is bruised, I can't just cut the bruise off and eat the fruit. It's something like I've really had to teach myself to not be wasteful as an adult. Um, like, I don't know where that level of needing to control came from, but certain foods, I can't even put them in my mouth because 'cause it'll make me sick. It's like, right? And I'll try and eat things and I can't control the food, don't like what's in front of me, and I eat it. I had food poisoning years ago, and a ex-boyfriend's mum used to cook me chicken, um, even though I was a vegetarian, because 'cause they'd cook lamb. She thought that chicken was a vegetarian option instead of lamb. It was mind-boggling. Taste, texture, can my brain rationalize what this food is meant to be? If it looks wrong, is pineapple go together because of the salt and the sweet, right? And it's like, so my brain can comprehend. I can't eat turkey if it's ground up because my brain can't comprehend turkey being ground. But I still can't get beyond putting it in my mouth and eating it and enjoying it, like the flavors that like it's off to me. And it can real pow steak chop cut, but I'm gonna be like and trying not to be sick is I fat touched my mouth, something right. No, like clearly two different things, right? It's like one is I've got some control issues and it comes out through my food and it comes out through the texture. When I send Brian a text and say, can you bring me something nice for my mouth? Right? He'll usually bring me a box of cereal in my mouth. Right. And it's like, because I love to have the crunch and I love, right? But then certain things I'm like, no, that shouldn't crunch and I can't have it. It sounds
If you take chicken tenders, you can pull the strands. If you bite into it and it's processed and ground, no, that was not good. On ARFID, I met friends for a charity meeting. Normally, there might be a bit of food, it might be sausages or something. There's normally a bit of food, but there wasn't last night. So the decision was made to go to the fish and chip shop. They wanted to know how many to book a table, and I was like, no, I can't. I've just finished work. It's been a 12-hour day. The place is on the way home. So I thought I can sit down, have a coffee, unwind. The menus came out and I ordered the largest fish with two sides. Everybody was gobsmacked, and it was never about the hunger, it was the tiredness. I didn't want to go because I've had a long day and I'm exhausted. Well, I'm here now. I can start to relax. I order the biggest thing. When these plates came out, the fish went off the side of it. He was haddock. You
I'm good
might be
with fish
okay
and
with that because it's
chips.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can eat fish and chips from the shop. I didn't used to when I was younger, but as an adult, I've gone back. Your taste buds change as you grow older. It's common to not like something when they were younger, and then as their palate changes, they liked it. So I have actually gone through and tried some of the different foods that I'm really averse to. Like white fish is an example. I would always eat fish fingers with chips and an egg. Um, we'd get the battered or the breaded cod or haddock from the supermarket that you put do the oven bake. They put the fish in batter. When we were younger, we used to attend church regularly, and we had a contingent of nuns coming to visit the parish.
Yeah.
And then other people would provide meals and things. So we had volunteered, or mum had volunteered to have the nun come over for dinner. And I still to this day, she's like, I think that is one of the most embarrassing times of my life, because me and Ian throughout the meal were an absolute nightmare that comes from me and my food pickiness, right? Because I remember looking and going, the ham's blue. I'm not eating that dinner table, but
Yeah. It was thin ham on the good plates for guests.
yes,
Oh,
plate.
so the colour of that, and I was exactly the same, is that ham should not be this colour. I'm not eating it. Everything went downhill from there.
Yeah,
I mean, when you picked it up, it was ham. Ham shouldn't be that colour. I'm not eating it.
yeah. Mum got more frustrated at these two little devil children amping up. Right?
Which it,
Of course, I'm going to do that at the table while there's a nun there, because I've got an impulse control disorder
yeah.
myself.
And
I need dopamine.
the whole situation of new people and being yelled at was sensory overload. And the more I ramped up, Lois ramped up, the more she ramped up, I ramped up. It was chaos.
My mum
And
is
these
today.
nuns, that wasn't the only experience with the church and food.
Oh, what?
Do
What
do
did
you remember this
Yeah,
birthday
it was
party?
nice. Yeah, we went to the
It
vicar's. The vicar helped plan a party.
it was a nice party, and the last thing your mum wants is walking in and there's the priest and everybody in the house. It was just random people, but to us that was a surprise party. I remember us getting sandwiches from somewhere, but I can't remember where. It was just mixed food.
Surprise
Yeah.
people. The
You-
vicar did help us bake.
Yeah.
Wife, we made cakes. Didn't
Yeah.
know, we were just kids thinking we were doing something nice for at such a young age. We wanted to do something special for our mum. We went to church and asked the vicar to help. Father Moffat was super lovely. Like baking chocolate, melting mum, put it on chocolate digestives, get powdered sugar and make icing, put on biscuits. That's how you made topped biscuits.
It ended with a surprise. I don't want to stay here because there's people. I don't want to be involved in conversation, so I'm leaving. Walk out.
Exactly.
It reminds the experience last night. I still have an aversion to mushy peas.
Well, yeah, I
When
hate them.
several people ordered them last night and the staff said, sorry, we've run out, that was the most glorious thing because I didn't have to sit there watching other people eat them.
The crime against food. How can
They
we?
had garden peas. Sorry, Kay?
I can see the grittiness and the like
It's
lumpiness.
gritty. But it's also
Yeah.
the taste. Pea and ham soup is like a watered down version of it. And I can tolerate it. I'm not a big fan. But if I put mushy peas in my mouth, they come straight back out.
I can eat peas out of a pod, fresh, but cannot stand cooked peas or any endonzies. But other vegetables, I love. I love the vegetables.
If I could only eat one vegetable, it would be parsnips.
Do you notice, Kay, that Zoe, with her food restrictions, starts acting out at the meal tables and doing weird things with her food? Well, that's specifically, she was like, oh, I never had a problem with Ian. I could put a plate of shit in front of him and he would eat it. But Lois would cook me a separate meal because of my
Mhm.
food aversions. And my mum took me to the doctor and we had a conversation. That horrible one called Diggle basically said to me and mum about I could just eat chocolate for my entire life. I would eat a lot of junk food. Knowing I have ADHD now, I was physically active all the time in every sports team I could be in. I needed to eat a lot of calories. I was burning a lot more than I was putting in, as well as being a girl. Right, like that food control becomes like this real part of who you are, but you don't realize I'm definitely not anorexic and I'm certainly not bulimic because I don't eat things that I don't enjoy. And if I enjoy something, I'm not going to make myself sick afterwards. Not to minimize those problems, but just in the
Mhm.
context of ARFID, parents going, "Oh, my kid's such a eater. You're trying to force them one more bite and it's good for you." At the time, you think, I'm just trying to get my kid to be more adventurous or understand this is healthy. But in doing so, you could be creating psychological reasons. That person then generalizes those beliefs like spaghetti makes me sick because I don't like the texture. If you eat that, then you can have your dessert, right? And I get it as an adult from a parent perspective if you want your child to be healthy, but as somebody that recognizes now that I grew up basically with food disorders, that control and things, I'm not doing it because I don't like my body. I'm not eating because my relationship with food is like you said, Ian, I'm just not interested. I've got other shit going on, or there's not things available I can eat. I would die on a plane crash in the mountain because I would not be eating people. I'd just go sit in the corner and die, and you can eat me because I ain't doing it.
You often hear people going through emotional situations and comfort eating. There isn't necessarily control over the comfort eating. It's
Right.
when you have emotional control, but the hunger is gone. It's probably the same part of the brain which controls that. It switches on or off.
You raised a good point earlier, right? Neurodiverse people have sensory overload in many different situations. Hunger, while you're trying to prioritize, you might feel out of sorts in your body, but you might not understand the particular trigger is hunger, right?
Mhm.
Because the signals are getting mixed up. It can compound over time, can leave people as adults like me. I basically have to have Brian sitting next to me at every event. We have to really think about when we go into restaurants, read the menu beforehand and come up with a plan so that I can eat and not look weird not eating. Tomatoes, I can eat a roasted pig in my taco, but
It was funny because a few months back, me and Lois were out for afternoon tea with a whole host of sandwiches. Brian was there and Carla was there. It was like, okay, I don't like these ones. You eat. I like those. It was just swapping where you've got sandwiches that might have cucumber or tomato. It's like, no, I'm not going to touch that. So you have that one because you like that one. And so it's good because we had two people there that kind of eat the things that we don't necessarily eat.
that was a really good example of it and dealing with it right because as adults we still deal with it is recognizing it's not just a difficult eater, it's a physical visceral reaction to food that has a psychological impact. If a child is starting to show signs of using food as a form of control, that is exactly what it is. And I can control this and I can control all the people around me and how they'll cry for help, like, hey, I'm overwhelmed right now. Or if it's like, I see these habits in certain situations, but so in recognizing that it's a control thing for them, acknowledging that, like, hey, things seem really eat a lot of different food. Do you know why that is? Like, and I of recognizing situation and
It,
relationship.
you're right in terms of communication. thinking back to situations where I was frustrated, panicked, or stressed, and it's like asking me what's wrong. I have no idea because there's 1,000 different things going through my head, which then frustrates the other person because you haven't got to the bottom of it. Within my household, quite neurodiverse, I had a kind of menu. On a Monday, it's this. On a Tuesday, it's this. On a Wednesday, it's this. So you've got that familiarity. Also asking Zoe what she likes, getting her to help put that together. And then there's that expectation. It goes back to what I was saying before, where you're not necessarily having to worry. It's automatic because if the girls are here, they know that on a Sunday it's pasta. On a Saturday, it was this. On a Friday, it's this. There was always that familiarity. And I'd get a message going, is tonight such and such? Yes, it is. That takes some of it out, but it's finding out the things that she likes and then working with her to put that together. So she's contributed to it. If she's not worrying, that's one less thing to worry about. It also helps make things easier for you because you're not having to worry or second guess. That's potentially a good approach to try.
Not, I get very overwhelmed when there are too many choices. And when there's too many choices, I just don't want anything because I can't decide. So limiting choices to two things that you know are liked and go, hey, this or this. And then tomorrow we can do whatever because you kind of like this today. And then there's still that control over the choice, but sometimes you got to kind of go backwards a little bit, right? If I go into TJ Maxx, I'll spend $1,000 because I'm like, that one, that one, that one. And they're like, how did this happen? Same with food. If there's too many choices, I get overwhelmed. During the holidays, it is such a cultural food fest, and every culture has different types. It's not just one food day either, right? It's like lots of food days, traveling. Yeah, I think Ian's kind of right with that, that like the more you can keep a routine, the better, right? So as much we throw our own routines out of the window and get friend Brian, can you listen to this so one of us knows what's going on? And it's not being rude. I just can't listen to people talking about food. It was good. It's not the thing.
I know where you're coming from when I go there. I'm turning up to eat. I don't want to know how you've done your potatoes or this, that, and the other. I'm there to eat.
I don't care. All day, make a protein, a vegetable, and a potato, put it on a plate with some gravy. And I'm really interested to know from your perspective. There's a couple, the singer in the UK, they're on Instagram together. She has ADHD and he's autistic. They've got autistic children. One of the things she likes is no cook food. She calls it no cook food. And he's like, yeah, but I don't think they mean a couple of crisps out and cheese. Right. Brian sent that to me because that's my idea of cooking for myself. If he goes away somewhere and he's going to be missing for the night, he'll make sure there's food in the fridge for me. He'll call me up and be like, did you eat? What did you have? I don't care how you've cooked it. I care how the animal was treated if I'm going to eat it. I care whether I like the animal. If I don't know where my food came from, I can't eat it. That troubles me.
It doesn't for me. But the no cooked food thing, I'm fully behind that. My go to, if I'm on my own, is cheese, crackers, butter, pickle, salami, and Marmite. I will alternate. I will have a pickle and I'll have a Marmite. And that's it. I will just sit there and butter them all day and demolish a full pack of crackers. It's a bit fiddly, but I much
I
prefer
do
doing
that
that.
too. And I'll like little squares of cheese, like little. I eat seed crackers that are gluten free. I'll be trying to butter these weird little squash seed things, and they'll snap. I'll put it on top of the cheese and make a sandwich with my cracker. Tastes like, what is wrong with these kids? My child's gonna grow up eating blocks of cheese. I'll pack it. I
What is
would
the
eat
go-to?
cheese every day.
Yeah. I have my brand of cheese that I always have. If I have pasta or anything, I've got a certain brand. When it comes to cheese and crackers, I love different flavors. spicy cheese with chilies, apple smoked, ones with fruit bits, toffee, Christmas.
What
I
about
just
blue
go
cheese and
absolutely
Stilton?
mad for all. I can eat them. I tend to have them once a month. I'm
I
not a big
love
fan of
camembert.
brie,
And brie.
but I don't mind
Oh,
Stilton.
no. We
Mm.
went to a steakhouse last night, Keen's, in the city, and I think it's like the oldest steakhouse. It's certainly the best steakhouse in the city, full of underdressed businessmen in vests. They wear plaid shirts and zip up tops. They've got big beer guts and have a good steak on a Friday night before they go home to their wives. We were in there yesterday. They bring the crudité out. I dipped my pickle, took a bite, and I said to Brian, this is the reason that I think I like blue cheese dip when I go places. He's like, this isn't blue cheese. I was like, it's not ranch. I can promise you in Keen's, it's not
Mhm.
ranch.
I think sometimes it does come down to brand. Generally, as I said, blue cheese, no problems with it Stilton. I don't go what if I'm having cheese and crackers, normally cheddar. Unless I go with Wensleydale and different flavored Wensleydales.
I could
Some
talk
of them,
about ever. Go.
some you can get infused with whiskey,
Yes.
really nice.
I think we can
Still
continue.
shocked.
She is shocked. You are 30 minutes late. But let's wrap this up